Most men pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that they hurry past it. Don't forget to love yourself. Purity of heart is to will one thing. Just as in earthly life, lovers long for the moment when they are able to breathe forth their love for each other, to let their souls blend in a soft whisper. So the mystic longs for the moment in prayer. He can, as it were, creep into God. Love is the expression of the one who loves, not the one who is loved. Those who think they can love only the people they prefer do not love at all. Love discovers truths about individuals that others cannot see. To cheat oneself out of love is the most terrible deception. It is an eternal loss for which there is no reparation, either in name, time, or in eternity. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly one you'll never have. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaint about them not understanding me. What is a poet? An unhappy person who conceals profound anguish in his heart, but whose lips are so formed that he sighs and cries, and they sound like beautiful music. It belongs to the imperfection of everything human that man can only attain his desire by passing through its opposite. Since my earliest childhood, a barb of sorrow has lodged in my heart. As long as it stays, I'm ironic. If it's pulled out, I shall die. The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all. No other loss can occur so quietly. Any other loss, an arm, a leg, $5, a wife, etc., is sure to be noticed. In addition to my other numerous acquaintances, I have one more intimate confidant. My depression is the most faithful mistress I have known. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. The function of a prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. God creates out of nothing. Wonderful, you say. Yes, to be sure, but he does what is still more wonderful. He makes saints out of sinners. Since boredom advances, and boredom is the root of all evil, no wonder then that the world goes backwards, that evil spreads. This can be traced back to the very beginning of the world. The gods were bored, therefore they created human beings. It is hard to believe because it is hard to obey. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Our life always expresses the result of our dominant thoughts. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. I see it all perfectly. There are two possible situations. One can either do this or that. My honest opinion and my friendly advice is this: do it or do not do it. You will regret both. The highest and most beautiful things in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but, if one will, are to be lived. Life has its own hidden forces, which you can only discover by living. People commonly travel the world over to see rivers and mountains, new stars, garish birds, freak fish, grotesque breeds of human. They fall into an animal stupor that gapes at existence, and they think that they have seen something. Listen to the cry of a woman in labor at the hour of giving birth. Look at the dying man's struggle at his last extremity, and then tell me whether something that begins and ends thus could be intended for enjoyment. There are, as is known, insects that die in the moment of fertilization. So it is with all joy. Life's highest, most splendid moment of enjoyment is accompanied by death. The more a man can forget, the greater the number of metamorphoses which his life can undergo. The more he can remember, the more divine his life becomes. Old age realizes the dreams of youth. Trouble is the common denominator of the living. It is the great equalizer. The truth is a snare. You cannot have it without being caught. You cannot have the truth in such a way that you can catch it, but only in such a way that it catches you. Dare to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. During the first period of a man's life, the greatest danger is not to take the risk. It is essential in all relationship and all tasks that we concentrate only on what is most significant and important. If anyone on the verge of actions should judge himself according to the outcome, he might never begin. Take away paradox from the thinker, and you have a professor. The paradox is really the pathos of an intellectual life. And just as only great souls are exposed to passions, it is only the great thinker who is exposed to what I call paradoxes, which are nothing else than grandiose thoughts in embryo. Be that self which one truly is. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. Personality is only ripe when a man has made the truth of his own. Person, as a physical being, is always turned towards the outside, thinking that happiness lies outside of themselves. Finally, they turn inward and discover that the source is within them. Once you label me, you negate me. Because of its tremendous solemnity, death is the light in which passions, both good and bad, become transparent, no longer limited by outward appearances. Concepts, like individuals, have their histories and are just as incapable of withstanding the ravages of time as are individuals. But in and through all this, they retain a kind of homesickness for the scenes of their childhood. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use. At the bottom of enmity between strangers lies indifference. What is meant here by saying that existence precedes essence? It means, first of all, man exists, turns up, appears on the scene, and only afterwards defines himself. If man, as the existentialist conceives him, is indefinable, it is because at first he is nothing. Only afterward will he be something. And he himself will have made what he will be.